Hello, I have some comment on the OCD cycle. In the law of material objects, if you want to move an object from point A to point B, then you can push it, you can carry it, and you can remove it from A to point B. When he is in point A, when this object is in point A, it doesn't exist in point B. When you remove it to point B, it is now in point B, and it doesn't exist in point A. Simply you push it, you move it, you carry it. This we have learned with all external objects, with any material object. With thoughts, feelings, the internal objects or the internal world, it is different. The law is different. The law there is these objects, if you touch them, I mean the thoughts or the feeling, if you touch them, if you struggle with them, if you push them, if you try to change them, then you are giving them attention. You are giving them focus. You are giving them their food. So attention, focus is the food in the internal worlds. In the internal worlds, the emotion, the thoughts, they don't eat meat or they don't eat bread. They eat focus, they eat concentration, they eat attention. So the more attention you give them, the more attention you give the thoughts or the feelings, the bigger and the more frequent they become. They repeat themselves more and more. They grow bigger and bigger. So this is very important difference. Why? Because we have a habit in our we have learned that if we want to remove something, then simply we push it, we carry it, we try to change it, try to struggle with it, so that it will go away, or change, or okay. So, but in this note, I will also try to explain a very important difference between the CBT and the ACT. Is that by the CBT they don't have to remove it, but they try to change the thought. They try to change the content of the obsession. They try to change the feeling or the thought. If they can't change it, they will try to change its meaning. So, but it is still a form of struggle. This is why we say if CBT failed, then you should try ACT, acceptance commitment therapy, because then you accept the existence, of course not the content of the you simply accept the existence, whether it has content or not content. You accept only the existence of the obsession and try to change your relationship with it. But I will come to the differences between using CBT and ACT in dealing with the obsessions, but also I will talk about ERP and the differences on how can you integrate ACT in ERP. But okay, for now, I will try to explain or simply some small things about the OCD cycle. So the food of the thoughts and feelings are not it is only the concentration, attention, the focus. The more you give them a focus, the bigger and the more frequent they become. Also, you should know about the OCD cycle. We have talked about the first block. This was the obsession. The second block was the pain or the suffering or the irritating feeling or the worry or the anxiety feelings. So the pain. So you have obsession, then pain. Then this will force you, compulse you to do a compulsion or a ritual. This is why it is called compulsive. Why you do that? To decrease the anxiety or pain generated because of the first block, because of the obsession. But what we should know is that the obsessions itself, any OCD obsessions, from harm OCD, sexual OCD, religious OCD, blasphemous OCD, any type of thoughts, any type of feelings, any type of thoughts, any type of feeling. It doesn't matter how worse it is, how awful, how it is. Uh, it doesn't exist not only with, it does exist with OCD people, but also with normal people. So the fastest recipe to make the therapy fail is to try to remove or to get rid of or to struggle with the obsessions. If you want the therapy to fail, then you should struggle with the obsessions, you should struggle with your thought, struggle with your emotion, with, of course, OCD thought, OCD emotion. You should struggle. If you struggle with your OCD emotion, if you struggle with your OCD thought, if you try to fight with them, if you try to challenge them, if you try to, let us not use the word challenge now because they use it in CBT. So if you tried CBT, it doesn't help, then you should use ACT. But okay, CBT is very fine, it's very good. If you succeed with CBT, if you get a very good results, then go with it. It's okay. But okay, so I can again, if you want the therapy to fail, you should try to remove the OCD thought, the OCD feelings. You should fight with them. If you want the therapy to fail, you should do that. So the best, quickest recipe to fail in the therapy is that you try to remove what is normal, let us say normal, with the normal human beings. You try to remove, get rid of the obsessions. Each time an obsession, an OCD feeling, OCD thoughts comes in your awareness, then you are very, you shrink, you react very in pain, you react with worry, with okay. If you keep doing that, then you still want them to get away, to kill them, to remove them, okay, to destroy them. No. The more you keep doing that, the more you are focusing on them. You give them more food, you give them more attention, you give them more concentration. Then they will grow bigger and bigger and bigger, and they will come more frequently. So this is a very important point, is that you should never fight with your obsession. So to summarize the OCD cycle, you have the obsessions, and you have the second block is the anxiety or the pain, and the third is the ritual or the compulsion. With these the three blocks can give you a point of view. How can you change the therapy, or how can you what will you do with the therapy? It can give you a point of view, an explanation, how the therapy works also. So the first block were the obsessions. That means the OCD and the OCD and the the thought and the feelings, OCD feelings. If they aren't exist, I mean by this, not removing them, no, but by giving them as little as you can attention. Okay, by giving them as little as you can from attention. Do not focus on them. Do not concentrate on them. Do not give them, or give them very little attention. Then you will have little obsession. You will have little emotion. you have little emotion of fear. You will be less anxious. You will be less frightened. So decreasing the obsessions, I mean by that, not decreasing by fighting or struggling on, or removing or pushing them away. No, I mean by giving them less attention, by giving another things attention, by giving your goal that comes from your value. You give a commitment in the ACT. You give a commitment for your goals. So you should concentrate and refocus different in a different objects than your obsessions. So by giving less attention, less focus on your obsessions, OCD feelings and thoughts, you will decrease the fear, the anxiety, the second block, the fear and the anxiety feelings. Okay, so you decrease these feelings, anxiety feelings, or even if there is a something between the triggers, the obsessions and the anxiety and the fear, it can be doubt sometimes. So by decreasing the focus on the obsessions, you decrease also the doubts, and thereby, if in the model there is a doubt, okay, and thereby you decrease the fear, you decrease the anxiety, the worry. The more you even the doubt, it will not cause anything. It will not cause you to do a compulsion without fear. So fear always, there is always fear there in the cycle. Okay, so but fear comes from because you give a lot of importance. You value a lot these thoughts. This is, as we have said, because of identity problem. You mix the OCD obsessions mix itself with your identity. But okay, it can also gives you something about acceptance, because if you accept the existence of the obsessions, then you will fear them less. So the more acceptance of existence, the more you accept the existence of the obsessions, OCD feelings and thoughts, the less fear you will get. Compulsion will be faster when you fear more. The more fear you get, the more you are liable to quick compulsion. So if you decrease the fear, this is by a sort of acceptance of the obsession. And I repeat, acceptance of the obsession, I mean by acceptance of the existence of the obsession, and not the content. But I will come later to the difference between the content of the obsession, the border of the obsession, and the outside of the obsession, the context. So it is very different. But now I will not get into these details. But I simply want to say that the model of the OCD cycle can give you a lot of thoughts about how can you decrease the compulsion so that you ultimately stop the compulsion, because compulsion is everything. Compulsion, if you have obsessions but you don't do compulsions, this will be the end of the OCD cycle. So OCD depends in its reinforcement in its cycle on the compulsion, because if you get obsessions, OCD feelings and thoughts, and body sensation, and we have mentioned that in the OCD cycle. If you get obsession but you don't react, you accept the existence of these obsession, then you will not fear them. If you don't fear them, you will not do a compulsion. So doing the compulsion is the breaker of the OCD cycle. stop the compulsion, you stop the OCD cycle. The obsession will not stop, but it will decrease, decrease, decrease until ultimately it will stop completely, or it will be there, but you still function very fully. You still do what you want. You are a normal person in this life. You are fully functioning guy in this world. Okay. So compulsion, I repeat, compulsion is a very important. Of course, every one of these three blocks is important, but the criterion that the therapy is successful or failed is that, do you still do a compulsion or not? This is the most important thing. Also, of course, ERP and the behavior theory is also saying that is that the compulsion is the most important thing. So the compulsion is the ritual is stopping the ritual, stopping the compulsion is the criterion that determine if your therapy succeeded or not, if your therapy was successful or not. Okay, and see you in the next video.